Yeah. Welcome to the show. It's the number one show. Interviews and music, podcast, integrate the culture through the time. Just sit back and chill. It's the roots and rhymes. Roots and rhymes. Roots and rhymes. Just sit back and chill. It's the roots and rhymes. All you really need is some roots and rhymes. Roots and rhymes. Roots and rhymes.
So, Mac, this week's guest is probably one of the funniest personalities I've had the pleasure of knowing. Probably about 8 to 10 years. We've been mates, friends, came from same circles in good old Yorkshire as well. So it's nice to have a fellow Yorkshire woman on the show.
Yorkshire person. I feel like this should be Yorkshire national anthem, like a Yorkshire anthem we should be playing before we start this. But
you know what? There is a few people that would probably have Yorkshire as its own county or state and its own rules.
Yeah. Well, all the best people come from Yorkshire anyway, so it's going to be good to have this interview going off.
Definitely, yeah. And you know what? I know it's currently 8 p.m. as well, so it's way past their bedtime. Definitely way past their bedtime. So,
Roots and Rhymes.
This week, it's my pleasure to introduce one of the most energetic personalities. She's conquered radio, and more recently, she's smashing children's TV. Her energy at 7 a.m. leaves you not even needing a cup of coffee in the morning. She has to be one of the hardest working presenters in the media biz. And oh yeah, she's not a bad dancer either. It's Harpz Kaur. Hey, how you doing, Harpz?
Welcome, Harpz.
Guys, I think that was a lot of sweet talk there, man. I'm not that amazing.
We're just buttering you up.
You should have just said you're from Yorkshire. That's enough. That's enough buttering up.
Left it at that. But you know what? That was actually quite heartwarming, man. So thank you. Thanks for having me as well.
No problem. Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Good. I think we're all going through our good and bad days. I have been talking about this whole lockdown situation quite a bit, whether it be on my show or on social media. We all need to stay strong, obviously, we need to keep that energy. But yeah, I'm all right, just trying to get by, do what I can. We've got to get through this somehow.
Yeah, it is been pretty tough. I'm starting to feel the effects of it a little bit as well. I mean, you got to take them breaks where you can as well. I mean, work can be a little bit intense when you're just going from one place to another, or for some people's case, just staying at home. So you've taken a holiday last week, haven't you, from the airwaves? How was that?
Yeah. Do you know what? It was much needed. Much needed. I understand that, everyone's field and work is different. But the shift that I work is draining. The amount of hours that I put in outside of work is exhausting. I'm constantly sleep deprived. I don't sleep much. I'm always on the go. So I think the benefits that I've got out of lockdown is my body's kind of learned to rest a little bit more than usual. But at the same time, it's been difficult to carry on knowing what we're going through as well. So I feel like I hit rock bottom, and I thought to myself, look, it's all right me telling everyone else to, stay strong and you'll be all right, take breaks. But I wasn't doing it myself, man, and I really needed to do that. So it did me the world of good to just switch off from everything for a week.
You've done a great thing there, because I think during this period, it's like being in a marathon. We have to keep going. We don't know where the end line is. And people are kind of forgetting to take breaks, because it's like, okay, working from home, living at home, then the days become blurred into one, and there's no real definition of where one day finishes and one day starts right now. So important to take a break.
100%, man. I mean, it's given me a bit of normality at the same time, just because my morning routine is the same. So in that sense, it's all right.
Yeah.
But I think the minute I leave the studio, obviously my life is just like everyone else right now. It's at a standstill.
Yeah.
So for me to be on the go, and for everything to just stop, it's hit me for six, man. I'm not gonna lie. But
I think, like you said, it's what your body actually needed, but it's knocked you for six because it's not what you're used to, right?
Yeah. And do you know what? Like, I'm very open about mental health and stuff as well. I just feel like you've really got to look after yourself, and
Absolutely.
Especially going through phases like this. No one's ever been through something like this. I don't think any of us have experienced something where the entire world is going through the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's so important, man, because I just feel everyone's going to go through these waves. We're going to have good days, but there'll be days where your anxiety is, through the roof. And that was happening a lot with me actually over the past couple of weeks. It's good to take a break, man. Do it where you can.
Good. Take the time out. You got to look after yourself, right? Yeah. Can't get to where you're getting if you're not looking at yourself first. You're not 100%. Looking after yourself. But I saw your set on the weekend for the Calibre Live on Saturday night. That was good. It was a great set. Enjoyed it.
Thank you, man. Thank you. DJing, I'm not always quick to say yes to.
Yeah.
The main reason for that is I don't have the time.
Nah,
I
no,
mean,
yeah.
because I'm working such stupid hours. The minute someone's like, "Oh, will you jump on this set, jump at this gig," I'm like, I would, but I'll probably destroy myself. So the thing is, I'm not too confident all the time either because I'm not doing it as
Yeah,
often.
yeah, absolutely.
So it takes a bit of time for me to get back into the rhythm. But you know what, Gerps is a very good friend of mine, man, for a good 15 years, and I didn't think twice about it. And it was good. It was a good show, and I was quite happy with the set.
It was a
Actually,
great
thanks.
cause they were doing for as well, and they earned
Yeah,
a really good amount of money as well. So hats off to them. And you had Tindy hosting for you as well.
I
So
did.
you can't always do both, can you? You can't.
Do you know
can't
what?
DJ and
It's
host.
a funny story actually. When we turned up, the boys were like, so you know, you're gonna share a few words. You're gonna jump on the mic. Now, those that know me, if you see me DJ, I will never jump on the mic.
Yeah.
And the first thing people say to me is, "But you're a presenter. You're on the radio. Why can't you talk?" And I'm like, "Listen, I can't.
One thing at a time.
Legit cannot do two things at once. I'm multi-talented everywhere else, multi-skilled, but I cannot DJ a mic at the same time. So I let the
No,
lads do it.
it is tough. And to be honest, you want to, like you say, if you've not been doing it for ages, you want to just give it your
Yeah,
all,
man.
focus on that, and do a good job
Of
at that.
course.
Plus, if you've got friends around that are willing to do it, then it's all good.
Yeah. I mean, if you're getting a temporary DJ like me, mate, it's best that somebody else does it emptying. I'm honest about.
It was a great set. It was a great set. You did really good. Enjoyed it. I did.
Thanks,
so
man.
CBBC as well. Congratulations. That's a big gig.
Thank you. It's a dream come true, man. It's TV has been on my list for a very long time. Kids TV, I never really thought about it until it came to me.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, actually, when I got asked to do it, my agent was like, "So they've said that you're the perfect nutcase for this kind of thing."
Wow.
And I was like, I don't know if that's a compliment, but I've never heard anyone say that.
That is sick. And that has to be a compliment, man.
That is a compliment. I was going to say you definitely.
Come on.
Yeah, I was going to say you've got the energy for it. I wasn't going to go down the nutcase route, but you've definitely got the energy for it.
Yeah. I mean, they're lucky I could take that kind of banter, you know. So it's amazing, man. It's changed my life a lot. I'm not gonna lie. I've learned a lot, and I hope it carries on, man. Unfortunately, due to lockdown, we're in a bit of a sticky situation at the moment with filming and stuff. But we'll be back on it.
Rewind. Let's take it back. Know your roots.
So it's no easy job waking up at 4 a.m. 5 days a week, but being at the level that you are now, it's always something that you really aspire to, right? But how early was it when you realized that your future was going to be so heavily involved in music?
Very good question, that actually. I think let's talk music first. I'm the kind of person like I can't function without it.
Yeah.
So I feel like my earliest memory of even being around music is like the age of 1 or 2, and that's only because I've got loads of baby videos here and there. My mum, you know, showing me like all I'm doing is dancing, and it's always to Punjabi music. Obviously, I can't remember what I was doing at the age of 1, but when I'm watching it back, I feel like it's been with me since that day. So music, I was
going to say, you're so energetic. Like it has to be there from you from such a young age, right?
Yeah. And I think ever since I can remember, like that's all I've ever done. If I'm bored, even if I'm busy, something's got to be playing in the background. You know, in the car, in the shower, in the bedroom. Like I just can't function without it. So I feel like music has been there from the beginning. It is part of my roots. But I think work-wise, like being, you know, waking up at 4 a.m. every day, 5 days a week, it's not easy.
No.
But it was the best thing to happen to me at the same time, because I'm so happy that actually the one thing I wanted in my life, even if I didn't, there were times, you know, where I didn't know what I really wanted to do or where I was going to get, you know, where I was going to get to, but I always wanted music to be a part of it, no matter what that job was going to be, no matter what field I was going to fall into. I knew that I couldn't do it unless it had something to do with music. So I think I'm very lucky. I do feel very grateful that I've fallen into a job that I absolutely love. You know, I live and breathe what I do. So having music from the beginning, even up until now at the age of 30, I can't complain, man. I can't complain.
Like you said, from your earliest memories of being 1 or 2 years old, or even looking back on videos and stuff, you were dancing, you were so energetic. What kind of music was in your house, or what were you listening to? Was it the English stuff, R&B, hip hop, garage, later on in your life, or was it Punjabi? What did you grow up listening to?
I like answering this question mainly because those that know me really well will know that I'm actually an all-rounder. But those that don't know me too closely will be shocked sometimes at what I come out with. And I don't know if that's because of my job, because of what I do. So people always associate me with that one genre, that one thing. But actually, I first got into Punjabi music when I was probably about 5. I remember about 5, 6 years old. You know, in my house, I'd be hearing Hira and Alap and all the old school bands were getting played, whether it be on the radio or, you know, just my dad or whoever playing it around the house. But then at the same time, my mum is an absolute Bollywood freak. So believe it or not, I probably know every 90s classic.
Yeah.
Could name. I
and
might not be
Madhuri
good with the
Dixit and
film.
all that.
All
that
that
stuff.
I come from the Madhuri, the Juhis, the Sri Devi, you know, era. So I feel like I know every 90s classic. And then I've fallen into an R&B, garage, hip hop phase when I hit about 11, 12.
Okay.
And that's because of my older cousins. We all lived in one big house when I was about 15. So like my Thai and Thai lived in the same house. There was quite a lot of us in one house, basically.
Yeah.
So I saw him as an older brother, but there's like 10 years difference between us. So the music that he was listening to was constantly getting played in my bedroom, or I was sat in his bedroom. So then I started vibing to like, you know, Donnell Jones, Jagged Edge, Usher. Like I'm into all my 90s R&B. And then when I hit uni, things changed again. I got into like the funky house. I went into UK garage. I'm a little bit of a mess everywhere, but
I don't think you could ever go to uni or college or anything like that in Leeds, especially like we all did, and not like funky house or garage.
Yeah, exactly.
It was such a vibe up here.
Such a big thing at that time, man. But the thing is, not everyone likes everything. So I find myself sometimes a little bit weird when I'm around my friends or anyone else. They're like, how do you like this and how do you know that? But I don't know, man. It's like I said, music is life for me, and I listen to everything. I've been brought up with everything.
I think that's clear that you listen to everything from your Bollywood and everything.
What's great about that is like you get such an appreciation of different styles when you're willing to accept a whole range of genre, and especially like the way you describe it, how much music means to you. I guess you can get like different things from different genres. So like R&B fulfills one kind of need and the Bollywood fulfills another kind of need. And it's being open to those experiences, isn't it?
Yeah, man, that is such a good way of putting it as well. I feel like every genre that I've mentioned, you're right. It fits a different mood as well. Like your emotion, it just fits in with the kind of mood that I'm in on that day. Like believe it or not, you know, as much as I love Punjabi music, like I really, really do. And I feel like I kind of grew into that myself more than my family putting me into it. I just used to hear it around, you know, like on the TV and the radio. But as I got older, I was the one that wanted to look into like, you know, all the noughties, Bhangra, the 2000s, like, you know, even like Gubbi Sandhu, RDB, all of that. That was just me discovering it myself through college. But you're right, you take so much from each genre, you really, really do. So I'm kind of thankful that I'm like that, actually. You don't meet a lot of people like that.
Yeah, it's similar to myself, and I was saying it last week when we were speaking to Manj, and growing up, I felt like I discovered Punjabi music myself, and I think that was partly down to, especially living up north in Yorkshire, we didn't have as much exposure to new bands and new music. Where I really listened to Punjabi music was either, like you say, maybe on the radio or TV a little bit, but it was like weddings and stuff like that. That's where you over and over again, and that's where you start to become familiar with them. But then you go older, you kind of use the opportunities around you and speaking to people and college and that kind of stuff to get in with that music and then develop your own love for it. But just like you, R&B was me. Definitely your Donnell Joneses, your Jagged Edge, 112s, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man. I'm about all of that. But you know, just going back to like college days and discovering music yourself, I literally just had this chat with my with a friend of mine last week because I found my really old school MP3 player.
Yeah.
And I
The
used
one
to
that you
have
plug
that
into the computer
the one that you
itself.
plug into your
Yeah.
computer with like a little USB.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to give that to all my friends to borrow in their classes. They'd want to borrow my music.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I want it for my my art class or whatever it was. And they used to make a list of the songs that they'd hear on there that they'd want me to give them.
So you were taking requests.
So,
Even back then, you were taking requests.
This is what I mean. I was like, can't believe it. I wasn't nowhere near a DJ back then, but yeah, man.
So when did your DJ skills come into play? How old were you when you started thinking, okay, I want to dabble with this? I know that probably gave you a little bit of a taster, but when did you kind of think, right, okay, I want to jump on a pair of decks now. I want to kind of play music to people.
Yeah. So the idea came when I was jobless. Uni time. I think I just graduated. I was probably about 21 at this point. And I thought to myself, like, I've got nothing else to do right now. I was in that phase where you're sending your email and your CVs out like every single day, and you're getting rejected left, right, and center. I was in that phase at this point. And I was sat there thinking, how long can I carry on freelancing for and doing these jobs that I really hate doing? I need to do something. So I remember a couple of my friends around me during uni time were DJs. So luckily, I was quite lucky in that sense. A lot of my friends were DJs. So I had that access to learn.
Yeah.
It wasn't hard for me to kind of, just hit somebody up and be like, can you teach me how to do this? So in that sense, I was quite lucky. But the idea was from just friends around me saying, look, there's not a lot of female DJs, especially not up north. I mean, for me growing up, I don't think I ever came across anyone, a female DJ up north that was doing something like this. So I thought, you know what, let's just give it a go, see what comes from it. So I learned how to do it. And then I thought, right, it's scary, but let's just put it out there. If anybody wants to book a female DJ, I'm there if you want me. I was really scared, man.
Yeah.
Because I'd never done anything like that on a platform like that. So the minute I did it, I'm not lying, no word of a lie. In the space of a week, let's say, I was getting bookings left, right, and center because I didn't realize how much demand there was for a female DJ. And I was doing all sorts of nights, like, ladies' nights and geek nights, parties. And I just didn't realize that this would do so well. But when I did DJ, there was a bit of an issue with my mum and dad. Why do you want to do it? Why do you want to do this? It's what a lot of guys do. You're gonna come home late on all this kind of stuff. And it took a lot for me to convince them why I wanted to do it. But I think the only way to show them that this is what I want to do is when I'd bring back like footage on my camera and be like, oh my God, like look at the dance floor, Mum, look how happy these lot are, and they're raving to my music. And then they were like, actually,
start becoming more accepting.
All right.
I mean, even as a guy, I mean, when I started it up, it was like, like, just do your studies and stuff like that. But then obviously, I think it's generally the initial shock of, oh, hang on a second, wasting your time here. But once it starts developing, they start becoming a little bit more accepting. But you're absolutely right. I mean, with the road shows, there is no real female DJs up north, especially. And I think you did right tapping into that market and probably give you a platform, didn't it, to build off of later on.
Absolutely, man. Like I can't stress you how much that worked in my favor as well. Like, as much as I enjoyed it, obviously I loved it after a bit because I kept doing it, but it really helped me build my name. That's the way people started recognizing what I was doing, learning who I am. I mean, I'm just a random girl from Huddersfield. Like, who the hell is gonna know what I'm doing in my bedroom, like, my decks and stuff. But it was a really nice way to put myself out there, and I like the fact that I did it in that way, as opposed to just kind of screaming at people going, look, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do. I'd rather them just hear my stuff, man. And if I wasn't DJing, I probably wouldn't have got picked up for radio, to be fair.
No, so in 2008, you went to university, didn't you? And you did what? Media studies at Leeds.
I did, yeah.
At what point did you know you wanted to take the radio route then? Because you said that you kind of, after uni, you started learning the DJ thing, and then did it develop into radio? Or did you kind of had your eye on that side of media?
Yeah. So when I chose to do media studies, again, there was another issue, especially with my dad. He was like, "What do you want to do that for? What's your job going to be in the end?" And my honest answer was, "I don't know, but we'll see what happens."
Yeah.
Because I've always wanted to do radio, TV, things like that. Just give me a chance. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
So when I got there, I think it was halfway through my first year, we had to find work experience. So I found a random station in Leeds, did about 3-4 weeks there maybe. And bear in mind that was my first radio experience of any kind of experience whatsoever, just sitting in the studios, watching how people present, looking at the setup and stuff. And towards the end of my work experience, I remember the guy saying to me, "Look, do you want a show on the station?" And it's voluntary, like it was a voluntary station. And that, for me, was the best day of my life. Even though it was like free, not getting paid for it or nothing like that, it was like, oh my God, I'm actually going to be on the radio. Like, yeah, of course I'll take it. That station was Fever FM. It's the community station in Leeds. I ended up staying there for 6 years.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
I didn't get paid for it, but I built so many skills. I learned half the stuff I know today, I probably wouldn't know if I didn't spend 6 years at this station. I feel like I connected with the industry, but I did it myself. Like there was no one really helping you kind of, get in with all the people that you needed to know. I had to do that on my own, man. But it worked, and I loved every single bit of it. So after that, that's when I thought, yeah, man, like this is what I want to do for real now. Like whenever this is over and I find a job, and this is what I want to do.
That was like your apprenticeship, really, wasn't it? Like paying your dues and getting your way in there. And sometimes you've got to do it that route where, it's not the glamorous side of things, like it's a voluntary thing, but you've got to put that graft in, and it opens doors for other things.
But the thing is, it wasn't really unrecognised though, was it, Harpz? Because you started off. Yeah, exactly. It was a community radio station. Yes, it was local, but you started off as an apprentice or doing a work experience, and then you got offered to do a show, but then you built that up to getting on 3 times a week. You
man,
made it your own, and you were recognised for that. So you paid your dues, and you allowed yourself to look all doing it free of charge.
Yeah, man. And do you know what? The amount of times I used to hear from people, why are you doing so much work for free? To koi kam nahi karna, like, do something properly, get a proper job. And I was like, I'm trying. I was doing everything I could. Like, my background is actually in news. So when I graduated, because I did a master's in broadcast journalism, I managed to get some shifts at some radio stations just to do like some news reading, news reporting.
Yeah.
I went to places like Capital, Yorkshire, Metro, and Newcastle. I traveled a lot, man. And I did that for a good 4 years. So at the same time as doing this voluntary show, I was trying to get money and, make a living out of doing these shifts elsewhere. But I hated it.
Yeah.
I absolutely. And I'm open to say that. I'm not shy from that. Like, news is not me. Like, do I look the kind of serious person to be telling you the news, mate, every day?
Well, I'd be like, is she telling me the real? That can't be the real story.
It was awful, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I did it for 4 years, and I will never ever forget that time in my life, because I just felt like I was forcing myself to do something. But at the back of my head, I kept saying, it's going to pay off. It's going to pay off. You need this. Put it on your CV. Put it on your CV.
Yeah.
And up until today, when I am giving, younger girls advice, when I'm doing these little talks here and there, can't stress to you how important it is to sometimes do the things you don't like, but you know are going to benefit.
Yeah.
When people say, don't say no, just take it. Like, if someone gives you an opportunity, learn to say, yeah, it's true, man. Because if I didn't build all that up, man, I don't know where I'd be right now. It's definitely paid off for me.
I think
and sometimes you've got to do the things that you don't like to do what you love.
Yeah,
I believe that.
And in the creative arena or media as well, there's no hard or fast way of getting things done. And if it comes hard and fast, it'll probably go just as quick. So you really need to put in that groundwork there, because it probably taught you a hell of a lot. That the amount that you was exposed to, it might have been a community radio station, probably built completely different to the BBC, but when you did go to the BBC, it probably taught you a few things about how to produce your own show, or how to do certain things, or even how to, as basic as using the equipment, which some people probably don't know.
Oh God, yeah. Hell yeah. Like the thing is, there's so many different stages that you go through when, just to get to where you want to be. That's like with anything. You can't, nothing lands in your laps. You don't just kind of get it overnight, and become a master at it. Yeah. I'm still learning, like, up until today, just because, I'm doing the weekday breakfast show doesn't mean I know everything about radio, or I'm the perfect broadcaster. I'd like to be the best I can, but I can't say that I've stopped learning, because I think you pick things up from so many different things, whether that be, your environment, your team, other presenters, listening to other shows. You're constantly learning, man. So I feel like up until today, I'm still doing that. But I don't know. I just feel like my journey's been a little bit mad. Like I've gone through things I really didn't like, got to things that I kind of liked, and then really wanted to be on a bigger platform. But again, I don't think I would have got it without the recognition. And I told myself that if I don't do something about this myself now, I don't really know where I'm going to go. Because the truth is, and it's the harsh truth, there will be people around you that want to help, but a lot of the time it's only you that can make a lot of this stuff happen, man. Like you've got to tell yourself that, what can I physically do to get where I need to be? There's do you know what I mean? Like if I said to you, to you guys, no, I need to get this tomorrow, help me do it. There's only so much you guys can do. Vice versa, do you know what I mean? Yeah. You've got to get up and do it yourself. And I think those 6 years, there was that 6-year gap that I always talk about. The radio aspect, the community station, like you said, even though it's just a community station, it's not a big deal. It was a massive deal for me. So that was the one thing keeping me going. But at the same time, I was going through depression. My mental health was terrible. I had to seek, professional help, because I was just sat in this really dark hole every night, listening to family going, "What are you gonna do? Where's your job gonna be?" And then reading emails saying, "No. Your mind's just in 10 different zones, man, because you're thinking, did I do the right thing? Was my dad right? Am I not going to get a job? And being an Asian female, sorry to say, but it is a lot harder. It's a lot harder to break those barriers.
I mean, there's no need to apologize for it. That's real. That's your experience.
It is what it is, and growing up, I didn't see a lot of that. You saw the odd few, and but it was hard. So I feel like when I look back at those 6 years, it was a bit of 50-50, man. There was a lot of good, but there was a lot of bad. And only I knew how to take myself out of that. So I had to do it, man, somehow.
and you not only did it, you kind of smashed through it as well, looking at where you've got to today. Obviously, there's so much more to come for your career, but to put in that work is really inspirational for people to hear out there, that if you just persevere sometimes, even when it doesn't seem like there's a way forward, there is light at the end of that tunnel. It's about perseverance and consistency in what you do.
Yeah, man. Can't stress that enough. Like that, I've been through those days where you're throwing things in your room and you're crying yourself to sleep because you're just saying, I'm not going to get there. What's the point? I'll give up. And there were times where I thought, you know what, forget it. I'm just going to go work with my dad. Like, he's right. Forget this. And you feel like everything you've done is a waste of time. But the next morning, you've got to get back up, look at yourself in the mirror, have those conversations, man. It's not embarrassing, talking out loud. Sometimes you've got to ask yourself, why did I start this in the first place?
Yeah.
And is it really important to me? Do I really want to be there? And every time my answer would be yes. So I thought, right, well, fix yourself up then. Do you know what I mean? Like, snap out of this, do what you got to do. And social media was the biggest thing that helped me at that point. That's what helped me get out there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
social
good.
Media was, it was like YouTube, Twitter was around. I don't think there were things like Instagram and Snapchat at that point.
No.
But I used that platform thinking, look, I'm on Fever now. I've made some good friends in the industry. Let's take it to YouTube. And I'd happen to like get really, really, really good bonds and relationships with like, some PRs and managers and labels and things. So my first little sit down chat on a sofa was Jazzy B. And I'm there going, flipping hell, I've managed to get this. Yeah, I was like, but you know what I mean? I haven't got no one helping me behind me. Like, there's no one there. But and it was just me on my crappy little like iPhone 4 or whatever it was back then. Sound quality was terrible.
Yeah.
I had no equipment, but I just rocked up, got my mate to hold it for me, and I was like, right,
Yeah.
just record this little chat I'm gonna have. But those kind of things really helped, man. And when I started
Yeah.
putting it out, only then did people like kind of start talking about who's this girl, or I've heard her do this, or I've seen this video, and it helped me, man. Without it, I think it would have been a lot harder.
Yeah,
A lot harder.
I know that obviously when you were at Fever FM, we were communicating over Twitter and stuff like that. Obviously,
Yeah.
you being a budding DJ, I was in the events scene, working a lot with Untouchables, doing their events and stuff, and I could see that you were putting in this graft. Obviously, didn't know everything behind it. Obviously, you trying to graft through your degree and your masters and that kind of thing. But also at the same time, for me, looking at you, thinking, hang on a sec, you're a DJ, you're really talented and stuff, and Fever was, yes, it was a community radio station, but the market was predominantly Pakistani, and there was only select shows where you could get your musical freedom. How did it feel that you couldn't really express your taste as well properly on that station, because obviously the demographic that they were aiming at?
Yeah. It was difficult. I mean, you know, because when you looked at all the shows across the board, it was hard to kind of see where you fit in, or like, you know, the kind of style that I had, or the kind of vibe that I had about music. I was trying to work out, what can I bring to this station that's a little bit different, or, you know, what can I bring that there's probably, well, something that's missing. And I could see what it was. I could quickly understand and gauge what was missing. And that was a lot of the Punjabi, Bhangra, UK, international music. There wasn't a lot of that on there, apart from like, you know, the top hits in the charts back in the day or whatever. And then I had to kind of just play around, and I thought, look, I did have a bit of freedom in terms of I could play my music off my laptop. I didn't always have to play what was in the system. But I didn't play too much of my own until I started getting a little bit brave about it. I was like, look, let me just try it, see what works, see what people like. And that's when eventually they gave me the Saturday night Bhangra show, and I told them, you know, I called it Strictly Bhangra or something like that at the time. And it was like a 2-hour show on a Saturday night, and that's all I did. So I eventually got the freedom to play what I wanted straight from my laptop, whatever was in my iTunes. And it worked, and I felt like, you know, that's what was missing. There was people out there that wanted a bit of that, and it was nice to kind of bring it to a station where there isn't a lot of that. You know, sometimes you get, not like, you know, with all respect to all Punjabi radio stations that there are, you know what you're getting in it. Like, you know what you're getting. But for a station like Fever, it was kind of nice to bring something new, and it worked in their favor too. Like, it works both ways. You know, I'm bringing in a whole different audience for yourself as well. So yeah, I got there in the end.
So what kind of stuff were you playing then? So that was probably around 2011, 12, that kind of era. What kind of stuff was really popping off with the listeners on that one?
So my work experience started in 2008 maybe. I think I was about 19 when I first got the show there.
Okay.
So I remember playing a lot of music by like Bup Sagoo. There was a lot of DJ Gerps and stuff. There was PBM was still big around at the time. Jazzy B, obviously, Honey Singh. There was a mix of everything. I'm trying to remember every kind of artist that was playing. Roach Killer, Benny Saliwell. There was a lot of the UK scene still popping. It's nothing like obviously now. Like now there's too international heavy, which is a good thing. But music's changed a lot, man. So what I was playing back then is definitely different to what I'm playing right now. But it worked at the time. You know, it's what people wanted at the time, so it worked. And I managed to actually get, you know, really good bonds with these people. You know, with them being UK based, it was obviously a lot easier as well. You know, I got talking to them. I've made some really good friends in the industry now, you know, who I'm still talking to now 10 years on. So it's nice. It's been nice.
So I mean, even though there was all that graft, it really did build that foundation for everything, didn't it? Taking you through to the Asia Network and stuff. But then after Fever, you moved to All Star FM for a year or so, didn't you?
Oh my God, I completely forgot about that. Yeah, I did do that. I remember. So I had a good friend of mine, Manny Brown, which you might know. You know, big DJ up Leeds. And he was on All Star FM at that time, and he was talking to me a little bit about it. He was like, "Look, I can speak to them if you want to do it." And the one thing that drew me into doing it, it was an online station, so you had to
Yeah.
literally log online to listen to it. But it was the fact that it wasn't Asian music, and I thought, yeah, like I want to show people that I'm not just about this either. Like it gives me the chance to play around with my R&B and hip hop stuff. So I went over there, and I think I was the only girl. I think I was the only girl that was there. So they took it on straight away. They were just like, yeah, man, like it's good to have a female on board. Use your slot. Again, I did a weekend slot. I think I did Saturday morning or something. That was quite early, the show that I did. But it gave me that experience again, and I loved it. It was more live DJing though on that. So that was very different. It wasn't a radio desk or anything.
No, I think
like
All Star FM was very almost pirate station-esque
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
yeah.
very much DJs who just literally wanted to play tunes live. I mean, it's kind of what people are doing with Facebook Lives and YouTube Lives now, but of course it was...
it literally is a perfect way to describe it. It was exactly like that.
Yeah,
but it was some good experience.
There was quite a few back then as well. And Manny, I know, is a really good DJ, and he's still doing bits here and there as well. So that must have been a good platform, like you say. So your R&B and hip hop side was almost untouched with Fever and everything else. So this allowed you to kind of open up and express that musical side of you and show people, hang on a sec, there's another side to the coin here. I can do a little bit more. I don't necessarily have to do Bollywood or just Bhangra. So that must be really like allow you to spread your wings a little bit. So did that kind of almost allow you to project and think, okay, I can move on to something bigger here now? So I know around 2015 that the call came from BBC Asian Network. So that must have been like, wow, starting to pay off now. This is a dream come true.
Yeah, God, yeah. I felt like I was living two different lives at that time. You've just reminded me of the whole Fever and All Star FM phase that I was going through. All Star, I think I only did for about a year and a half. It only ran for quite a short space of time, but I did feel like I was like two different people, because on Fever I was just hardcore, all this dissy stuff going on, and then All Star I was living this other completely different life which people didn't know about. But yeah, again, learned a lot from it. But yeah, in 2015 I got a tweet from Nihal, who at the time was on Asian Network and on Radio 1. But it was his last Radio 1 show that he was getting in touch with me for. And I had to like look at this message 2-3 times, because I was like, is this the real Nihal? Is this the actual profile? Because for me, even at that time, it was a big deal, man. I was like,
massive.
Oh my God, yeah. I was like, what does he want? What does he want?
Yeah.
So I'm checking if he's got the blue tick and all of that. And I was like, right, it's legit. So I read the message, and I keep stuff like that, man. So I've actually screenshot all these messages, big moments of my life, because it's good to look back on.
Yeah.
And he messaged me saying, hey, Harpz, I've seen a couple of your mixes floating around on SoundCloud, because I must have uploaded a few after some of the gigs. And he was like, just wondering if you wanted to do a mix for my last Radio 1 show. Mate, I'd gone into shock. Like, I remember just sitting there staring at the screen going, like, does he actually want me to do this? Radio 1 as well. It was massive. And I sat there just thinking about it. I was like, but if I say no, this is going to be the dumbest thing ever, innit? I need to say yes. Because I was so scared. I was scared. So I was like,
this
yeah,
the
man,
Bobby
right.
Friction and Nihal Present show? Was it that one? The last
it's
one?
when they'd split at this point. So it was just Nihal doing his own thing.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was his last show on there. So I said, yeah, sent the mix. Got played on Radio 1. Yes, I was filming the entire thing off the TV screen. It was like my first big like claim to fame. And then that if that moment hadn't happened, I honestly don't think I'd be where I am right now, because after that, I got a random message from someone who runs the Asian Media Awards. At the time, I had no idea who he was, didn't know what these awards were. And he said, look, I've seen a bit of your stuff here and there. We've got a new category this year for Outstanding Young Journalist.
Wow.
And he was like, I think you should put yourself forward, because you've done a lot of different stuff as a journalist. And I was like, let me have a quick Google, looked up what these awards were. And I was like, are you mad? Like, looking at the people that were up for an award in these categories, I was like, no one even knows who I am. And you want me to go up against like these massive people on a platform? And he was like, no, but that's the whole point of this new category. We want the newcomers coming in. And mate, I really wasn't buying it. I, honest to God, was sat there going, "This is going to be a complete waste
I'm
of
being
time."
punked.
Yeah, I was like, I know I've got stuff like that I've done, but it's not that big of a deal either. But then again, one of my best friends, he was just like, "Look, you've got 15 minutes till this deadline." I remember it was 11:45, midnight. And he's like, "If you don't do it now, you're going to regret this for the rest of your life. Just do it."
Absolutely.
So I thought, okay, fine. I had to submit all this like work, sent it through. Literally the next morning, you're shortlisted. Got down to the final 4. I think there was 4 or 5 of us in that category. And I was like, what? This is mad. Took my entire family to the ceremony, as you do. Sat there with all
Rolling in,
these,
full family.
yeah, man. And I've never been so starstruck. Like, there were mainstream people from, like, you know, Channel 4, ITV, like World Service News. So there were familiar faces I'd seen on TV just sat in this room. And I was just like, how have I got myself here? It was just mad. And this was the biggest turning point. So I didn't win, but I felt like I won a lot more that night because Nahal was there.
Yeah.
He finds me, came over to the table, and he literally grabbed me by the wrist. He just went, "I just need to borrow you for a minute. Like, I just want to introduce you to someone." And I thought, oh my God, okay, let's go. So I'm following him, and I'm chatting to this guy. I had no idea who he was. At the time, I remember I didn't even listen to the name because I was that nervous. So I'm just talking to this guy that he's taking me to, and he's like, "Oh, Nihal's said a lot about you, you know. He's got a lot of, you know, great things to say about you. Tell me a little bit about yourself." Got chatting. He pulled out his card and he was like, "Look, I'll be in touch. You know, here's my card, whatever." So I walked off, and I didn't read it until I sat
I was going to
back
say, did
down
you
at
not read the card
table.
at that point?
No, but I regret that I didn't. So I went back, sat down next to my dad, and I was like, I just spoke to like the head of Asian Network, and it was Mark Stripper, and I was like, I can't believe who I just spoke to, and I had no idea who the hell this guy was. And then you go through this whole phase of, damn, I should have said this, I should have said that, I want to say this. I can't even remember what I said.
Should have dropped a set.
Yeah, man. I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I said in this conversation. Don't know if it was good or bad or what. And then all the way home in the car, I was just like, Dad, if I could have changed that conversation, man, I don't know. Like, I didn't know what I'd said. But then the horrible part again for me was I didn't hear from him for 5.5 months. So in those 5.5 months, you can imagine how
mate.
I was going. I was so angry. I was telling my mom, I was like, "Mom, I bet he says this to everyone. He's not gonna call me. He's not gonna message me." I was like, "Oh, like, you know, he's what he says to everyone." I was so angry, and it's because I got my hopes up so high that something was gonna come from it.
Yeah.
But 5.5 months,
situations like that don't happen for no reason, and you kind of build it up in your head, and you're like, "Oh my God, this is it. But obviously, I think what you end up learning as you maybe get older or more experienced is things don't generally go at the pace that you always want them to go, and sometimes you've just got to hang on a sec, so leave it back of my head. If something comes of it, something will come of it, and something did.
I think if anyone knows that plans don't go to plan, that's definitely me. Like,
you must have been going crazy in that 5.5 months, thinking, if I'd have said this, he'd have called by now. If I'd have done this, that must have been something rotten.
I know it sounds like I'm just saying I was angry, but I was flipping fuming. Like, I was like, this was the moment, man, and he's just not gonna mess it. Anyway, when he did it eventually, he said, you know, come down to London, let's just have a chat. You know, I just want to have a chat. That was literally all he said. And I was like, yep, I'm there. Came down to the studios. I was like stunned just by walking into that building.
Absolutely.
I've never been in an environment like that. I've never seen studios like that. Like, just looking at cameras, like, for me, that adrenaline rush was mad. Like, just looking at it, I was like, oh my God, like, I can't believe I'm here. Sat down, had a really nice chat with him, and then he called me back, said, come back, you know, let's do a pilot. I just want you to do a demo. Again, I'm getting gassed, thinking, right, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this. Went down 2-3 months later, maybe, did this demo. Then I went on a family holiday to Morocco, and I actually got the call for the job when I was on holiday. And I could have easily missed that phone call, man. But
he wants to pay roaming charges. Bloody hell.
Yeah, I was like, damn,
I didn't. Involved.
I didn't even recognize the number, but I still answered it on a bloody holiday, and I thought, no, it might be. And when I got it, I just couldn't believe it because he said it so quick. Like, it was just like, hey, Harpz, you all right? Enjoying your holiday? So, do you want to be the Sunday morning breakfast presenter? Again, how have I got myself here? Like, it was just, that was by far one of the most amazing days of my life because you know when you've been waiting years to hear words like that, you're on a national platform, Harpz. You've freaking got somewhere. Like all those years you had to work for free, doing things that you didn't want to do. You know, going through this whole mental health issue, hearing it from every person around you that you're not going to get anywhere in this, and then proving them wrong. It was the best feeling ever. It really was.
Whilst on holiday as well. Don't get much better.
Yeah, man. I was like, let's celebrate all night. I ain't sleeping.
Arguably, it's the biggest platform in the country, if not the world, the BBC, and renowned for radio shows and renowned for the Asian network. I mean, it's something that didn't come easy, and you grafted at it doing that weekend show. I don't know where you were traveling, where you were living at the time, probably driving to either Birmingham or London to do the shows. That must have been a tough graft for you for a couple of years. But did you feel as if, right, okay, I'm gonna take this by the neck and I'm gonna run with it and make it my own?
I mean, the minute you mentioned traveling, it just gives me anxiety again, because that again was awful doing that. But when I first got the gig, I did Sunday morning breakfast. It was just a Sunday, and I thought, look, it's in London, I might as well just commute. So I used to go down on a Saturday, get the train on a Saturday, stop over, do the show, come back. Did a lot of that. Then a year later, I got given full weekend breakfast, and they moved me to Birmingham. And then I thought, right, it's closer to home. It's still not really worth me moving. I'll commute. Then I started driving there, so I drive there. But it takes a lot out of you, man, because the shifts the shift that you work in, and with me being an insomniac, a person that doesn't really sleep anywhere, I still don't know how I do it. That was hard. Yeah. And then when I got given weekday breakfast, they shifted me back to London again, and I thought, well, I can't commute now if it's Monday to Friday. I've literally got to move my life, and there was a lot of changes going on in my life at that point, man. It was the hardest year. That was by far one of the hardest years of my career. Was just adapting to so much, and it was hard. I don't really know how else to explain it, but it was bloody hard.
Imagine, I mean, you grafted 2 years solid, doing initially the Sunday, then the weekend breakfast, and then obviously it paid dividends, and you were offered the weekday breakfast show. I mean, obviously they saw something in you. Obviously they may have been grooming you from the start for that. Especially because it's built up to something really, really good right now. And obviously it's no easy thing packing up your life and moving to the big smoke, especially when you're used to your nice little town mentality in Yorkshire. The
thing is, like, you'll probably understand what I mean by that. You know, coming from up north, it's very difficult, I think, for someone from up north to move to London. It's a completely different world, man. You know, it's nice coming down here in doses, coming down for a weekend or whatever. But when I thought of moving, I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. You know, I really don't know if I can do it. And I lived out of a bag for months because, you know, how hard is it trying to find a flipping place to live? You can't just find something, you know, overnight.
That probably plays on your mentality a little bit. If you're not really quite settled, you kind of got 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I mean, obviously, one consistent thing was your work, and you probably threw everything into it. But like you said, I moved down to London for a few years once I graduated. That was a little bit easier because you're kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I'm just going to come here and work. But like you said, so many different changes going on in your life, but you really put in the work for the BBC. You did it and for yourself as well. And obviously now it's, arguably the biggest breakfast DJ at the Asian network. And I feel like I have to pinch myself sometimes, man. When I actually realize like where the position that I'm in right now, sometimes I think I forget, not to say that I'm ungrateful, I forget like how big of a deal it actually is, because I'm just so focused on how much I love what I do. I'm just enjoying it. I'm just having fun with it. But then when I'm actually away from work, or I'm meeting people, or I'm out and about, and I hear
what people say, or I'm reading stuff, what people say,
Mm.
it's really overwhelming. It's
Yeah.
really overwhelming. But don't get me wrong, like, when I made the transition of being a weekday breakfast presenter, it's hard filling somebody else's shoes as well, because that a flagship show so big,
Yeah.
someone's obviously been running it for a very long time, because you don't get presenters on shows like that just for a little bit. They're there for a long period of time. So
Absolutely.
you've got to also understand that you're training the listeners to try a different cup of tea, because you're not going to be everyone's favorite. But it's hard, and I received a lot of backlash in the first 5-6 months. It was difficult, man, because you're reminding yourself that, damn, I'm actually like, I'm new to not just myself, but for everybody else that's listening. It's a change of their routine. They're waking up to a different voice, and it's like anyone. You move on, the next one comes in. You move on, the next one comes in. It's not easy when you're trying to take somebody else's seat but make it your own.
Well,
So
I think you're
that was
absolutely
hard.
right in that sense, that it has to be difficult, because let's be honest, you're a part of somebody's morning routine. That is it. People jump in their cars on their commute and they expect to hear the same thing, and they're expecting a certain thing. So retraining them to your style is not something that come easy. And like you said, filling somebody else's shoes is quite difficult. But you've often said that you have looked at inspiration from Sonia Diol and DJ Caper, who were previously at the Asian Network as well. So how did it feel trying to aspire to be in their footsteps as well? Because they did it big as well at the Asian Network. And one's a journalist and one's an international DJ. So this is a bit of you in both of them. How did that kind of feel? Did you kind of bring something to your show to kind of channel with inspiration from them?
Do you know what it is? That's exactly what it is. It was me seeing a bit of me in both of them. That's exactly what it was. And I think that's why when people ask me, like, who do you look up to, I immediately just go to those two names.
Yeah.
Kepa was obviously the only female DJ during my time growing up that I knew was an Asian female killing it. Like, I didn't know any other Asian female DJ absolutely killing it at that point. And I'd listen to her, I'd watch her stuff, and I just used to think, how sick would that be for a girl to do what she's doing? Like, and not a lot of girls have, the courage or the confidence to do it. They just don't, because we're always being told that we shouldn't be doing it, or you should be doing something else, or and stuff like that. And I just remember hearing all of that all my life, but watching her gave me the drive. I remember just going, nah, I'd love to do that, man. I'd try it at some point. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but I'd love to try it. So I'm glad that I kind of watched a lot of her stuff and heard a lot of her sets, just to get a bit of inspiration. Sonia was the only journalist that I saw on TV. Like, she was the only literally Asian face I'd seen doing what I one day wanted or hoped to be doing as well. I still remember there was one interview that she did with Rahat. I'm sure it was Rahat for Daily Khan. She was doing on the Red Button. My mum was watching it. I remember walking in and I was like, I would love to sit there and do this with some big guests, man. Like, and my mum still remembers that. Like, she's still up until today says, you wanted to do that. And it's mad because I'm actually in her seat as well. She's been a previous breakfast presenter on the Asian Network, and I was just that little girl watching her. Now I sometimes get, I've got goosebumps right now just saying it, because sometimes I can't believe, like, when you watched someone all your life and now you sat in a seat they've sat in.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
To me, man.
You know what I really have enjoyed about your career is, yes, you've had like Caper and Sonia kind of to look up to, but you've done it in your own style. Like, they've got their own unique style, and sometimes when you get pioneers, you get a lot of like Me Too's following them, or a lot of copycat kind of feel, because it's like someone's paved the way, so I'm going to follow the exact same way. But for you, it's like, yes, they paved the way for you and you pay respect to them, but you've also done it with your unique style, identity, personality, and you've made your own niche for you, because you are an individual. It's not like you're a reproduction of anyone else. And that's just great to see that someone has taken that inspiration and made it their own.
That's really nice to hear, man. I fully appreciate you saying that. That means a lot, because it was difficult trying to find yourself as well. You know, when you reach such a huge platform and you're on a national station, it's difficult trying to figure out who you are, where
Right.
you fit in, you know, what are you about, what's your style, what can people learn about you. It is hard. Like it's natural for someone to fall into a seat and then try and be the person that was in the seat
and
before
do what they did just
and
because
do
it
what they
fits.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
Sometimes
sometimes it's
easier,
just
that's it.
natural. It's because you're just thinking maybe that's what I need to do well, because that's why they're there.
Right.
But actually, once you do that mistake and you realize that's not the right way to go, mate, like don't be doing what somebody else does, be yourself. That's when you realize how important it is to be you and find your personality. And you know, of course it took me a while as well. You don't find yourself straight away, you know, it's difficult sometimes, but I think now I can finally say happily, having done the weekday show for 3 years, that now I know who I am, and I know that I'd like to think that I am just me and not anybody else.
That does
Listeners
shine.
know
That
what
does
to
shine
get
through,
now,
though.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
definitely.
It does shine through because it's kind of, you know, you see people who are not being authentic, and you can tell because it's like it doesn't come naturally to them. Whereas everything that you do is it's natural and authentic. And you know, Chun's is going to talk about CBBC, but to talk to kids, it can't be a fake doing that. You've got to just be in the moment and authentic with what you do.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Especially with that being a new show as well. So like, I was probably the first presenter to do something of that kind. So that was a little bit harder as well, because I was like, damn, now I need to really bring out my personality. That's what this is all about. So you're right, with kids, it's very different, but you've got to be you. You can't be anyone else.
Definitely. I know that obviously, like you said, you're watching caper videos and stuff and you're like, I want to be that kind of DJ. And definitely you got to find inspiration from different places, and you got to find almost the style that you want to go down. But I just want to talk about the Sonia Diol side of it. Yes, you remember the moment when you were watching that particular interview and you thought, I want to do this. So now you're seen presenting these massive shows and awards and concerts for these massive artists and doing these kind of interviews and bringing your personality across. But that actually started really early, like for Fever FM. You presented at the Asian Network. I remember I was there. I was DJing at that show back in 2011. So was that always a part of you that you thought, I want to, which side of the decks did you want to be on? Did you want to be at the front of stage? Is that where you kind of saw your passion lie? Or did you think, hang on, I want to be behind?
I'm glad that you brought that up, actually, because again, it's a great question. I feel like DJing, being on that side, I felt like I knew this wasn't going to be something that I want to do full time or forever. It was more of a hobby. It was just something that I enjoyed doing on the side, but I knew I couldn't invest my entire life and effort and time into it. It was hard even thinking about that. So I thought, you know what, it's nice to keep on the side. Let's do it. But with Sonia, I don't know what it was, but it was very different because, like you said, and I'm glad that you brought that point up, actually, is I did start this off very early on because of Fever and building my own connections and, you know, trying to get, you know, answers back from people, because you know how hard it is in this industry. It's very easy for you to either get blanked, you're going to get straight up aired by someone, or you're going to get a no. It's hard. Like, so I've been through that as well, you know, trying really hard to connect with them. But those that I did connect with, I did it all by myself. So when I look back at those little interviews and chats that I've put up on YouTube and SoundCloud, or little sound bites that I've done here and there, I must have felt at some point in my life that this is something that I want to pursue. Like, this is what I want to carry on doing because I enjoyed it so much. And it's another thing that Asian Network were quite shook by, because they don't come across many people that already know so many people in the industry or have a good connection or have done, you know, quite a bit before being there. Because most of the time they give you the opportunity and bring you there and say, look,
absolutely,
now you can do all of this. And of course I've got many opportunities through them, but they were quite surprised, but in a positive way. They were like, wow, like, you know, you've already got these connections, you know, you already speak to all these people, you already, you know, you've done a couple of shows here and there. So yeah, it's been there from the start. And I think I did always want to be on the stage. I did always want to be on the mic. One, because I can talk a lot, as you can tell, I can talk for days. That's not an issue, and I've got the confidence to do that. But stage work as well, because I've done a lot of, like, dancing. I know it's slightly off topic a little bit, but dancing I've been doing since a really young age as well. So like when I was about 10, 11, I'd get involved with these like dance groups and performing for Diwali and Vaisakhi and stuff that's happening at the Gurdwara and like, stuff like that. So I'd had that kind of stage experience. So I think that was already there from the beginning. Even in like all our family videos, I'm the blimmin' loud mouth at the front, screaming and shouting, wanting to be on camera. So I felt like I was never camera shy. I don't think I've ever had that problem. But believe it or not, before every big show or stage that I do, I am crap in it. I still get butterflies. It doesn't matter how much you love that. And I love it. When I'm on it, I'm fine. Like the minute I've stepped outside, then I'm living my dream. I'm like, this is my comfort zone. But that backstage bit where you're stood behind
everything, on the screens,
I feel sick. Like you don't want to be standing next to me at that point. I'm like, oh no, I'm really nervous. So you do, but I think it's good to have nerves. It's good to have nerves.
It's necessary. I think it keeps you humble. Like you want to really do a good job. If you went out there overconfident, that's a different story altogether.
Absolutely, and obviously the breakfast show that gave you a platform and elevated you to allow you to do a lot more of these shows. Obviously it brought you to the limelight, and obviously people started to know your name and associate. I know obviously, like you said, Sonia Dior was one of your inspirations for that, but then even a little bit before that, Noreen Khan was doing them as well. So it's something that you were following there as well. And you, again, like Max says, you definitely brought it into your own. You brought your own personality into it, which is great. But that also gave you an opportunity to interview, yes, the artists and stuff, but even like Bollywood stars and even Will Smith. When you were outside the premiere and you interviewed him, that must have been crazy. Thinking that I used to listen to Men in Black soundtrack, and I used to listen to Miami back in the day, and now
you're standing in front of the Fresh Prince, like
Fresh
what?
Prince, man, that's crazy.
It's mental, man. This is why I always say my journey is just crazy. I don't really know how to explain it, but it still feels surreal. Like when I hear people like yourself just saying what you're saying, it makes me realize how far I have actually come. Because I sometimes the biggest reason why I love chatting to people like yourselves and doing things like this is because I want people to understand that I didn't just get this overnight. Because a lot of people they assume that straight away. They're just like, oh, she's probably got lucky, or she's got this job and she's whatever. Actually, there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that goes into it, man. And I work, like I keep going back to that 6-year gap. That was a big period of my life that not went to waste. I don't want to say went to waste, but I was just lost. Like, what was I doing in those 6 years? And now where I am right now, sometimes I do sit and think, maybe I should have done all of this a bit earlier. And everyone thinks differently as you get older. I'm like, maybe I should have got all of this when I was 25, 26. Maybe I'm doing everything a bit too late. I don't know.
Hindsight's a beautiful thing, but let's be honest. Okay, you went through that 6-year grind, and it's been what, almost 6-7 years since that. So you've done the equivalent, but you've elevated so much within that time. Sometimes for some people it comes within a year.
Sometimes it's one of those where you've got to go slow sometimes to go fast, as as daft as that sounds, but those 6 years could never be a waste, because without it, you want to be in who you were, with the experience, with the mind, with all the energy that comes with it.
Because to average Joe, and to average Joe listener, you might be right. They may think, oh, who's this girl? Yeah, she just got lucky or whatever, because who knows, because she's a girl or whatever like that. But they don't know the grind. And I'm glad we could get you on the show today. And we almost could call it "This Is Your Life, Harpz."
Well, it literally is in a nutshell.
I'll get my red book out.
Going back to your question as well, just about opportunities, I've got to say, like, as much as I've worked really hard myself trying to do what I can, there's a lot of things I could not have done without the Asian network as well, man. Like they've put me on a platform where I've been able to do so many things that I just never would have dreamt of. Like you said, Will Smith. When did I ever think to myself that one day he's going to be stood in front of me? You don't think like that. Like, you wish some things, but you don't expect it to sometimes happen. So this is why I say, like, it doesn't matter how big your dream is. Like, think big, man. It can still happen. There's nothing out there that cannot happen. I'm that girl who was sat in my bedroom thinking I'm never going to get a job because of the amount of emails I got through, and going back to that, you know, those 6 years. But now, like you said, I'm stood in front of people like Will Smith. I've been to Mumbai and I've met some Bollywood stars. You know, I've met some mainstream acts here because I'm working alongside One Extra and Radio One every day. You know, I've got so many opportunities around me, but it comes because of that graft. None of this lands in your laps. I have to keep saying that because I know how many people think like that, and it stresses me out because you've got to respect people's graft, man. No one gets there just by themselves.
No, and I know you put a lot of thanks into the Asian Network and stuff like that, but you've also made things happen yourself as well. Like, obviously, anybody who visited your socials or looked at the features on Asian Network know that you love dancing. You spoke about it before, that you were dancing from such a young age. You really sparked a resurgence in that side of your life, that putting up dance videos, doing features for the Asian Network, that's a part of your personality. You wouldn't have had your predecessors didn't necessarily do that, right? So that's something you're bringing to the table and adding to the Asian Network, giving them features that are a part of your personality as well.
Again, like, you know, when I was going through that phase of not knowing who I am and still trying to find myself, I did have to sit down and just like look at my life, as silly as that sounds. I had to kind of even write down, what do I enjoy doing, what do I like doing, what can I talk about, like trying to figure out who am I. And dance was a big thing because, you know, like I said, I've been doing it since I was like 2, 3, whatever. And then, you know, Holly started getting to like events and things like that and performing here and there and just genuinely having a big interest in it. But when I moved to London, I wanted to bring that back. I was like, you know, I want to have fun with it. And that was mainly because there was a lot of people that I'd met along the way during my opportunities at Asian Network as well, you know, just bumping into dancers and, you know, finding out about their classes and just joining them for fun. And it brought me that excitement back. And I thought, I really want to like just do more of it. Again, it's not to prove anything because I'm not a professional. I'm not a professionally trained dancer. I just do it because I enjoy it. And it just happens to be something that, you know, people that follow my work or watch my work like to watch. So I just do it because I like it. It's just another escape for me as well. You know, it takes me away from all the stress.
I was going to say, it probably does help you de-stress, just doing something and
100%.
expressing yourself in something a little bit different. And speaking of things
100%.
different, obviously, we all grew up on Saturday morning TV, and it's literally the children equivalent of primetime, basically. So now you're the face of CBBC's Saturday mashup. That's an achievement. Did you ever think that's what you'll be doing? Did you ever?
No.
I know you took before saying you didn't expect it, but wow.
And definitely not this quick either. I'm not gonna lie. Like, TV's obviously been on my, you know, my wish list, something that I've always wanted to do. TV is obviously a lot harder as well. You know, you've got to build up a lot of opportunities and things before you get there. But I got an amazing opportunity just through them seeing some of my stuff on Instagram, you know, just watching the kind of stuff that I post and whatever, getting in touch with my team and saying, look, is it something that should be interested in? And I remember when she rang me, it was literally 2 weeks before Christmas, just gone. And they were like, look, they're doing auditions next week. Do you want to try it? And I honestly didn't think much of it. I just took it as an exciting experiment, thinking I'm not that big yet. Like, you know, my portfolio probably isn't as big to be on the TV just yet. But I want to try it. Let's just see how it goes. And when I went, I've never done an audition like that. Like, it was just a different world. But I loved the fact that I did it because I thought, at least now I know what you have to do in it, like what kind of thing you have to do and what to expect. And that's honestly what I did. I just went there, had fun with it, being the, you know, crazy idiot that I am, and walked away and honestly just thought, look, at least I know how it works. And then I got a call 2 days before Christmas saying you've got it, and I was, again, what do you say to stuff like that? I'm just like, oh my God, like, it's happening. And that again was another turning point. And I talk about these turning points a lot because they're moments that you can't forget, man, because I've always wanted TV, but then to have a mainstream gig, you know, that crossover for an Asian female to cross from
Massive.
just an Asian platform to mainstream on a CBBC
Massive.
channel is it's a big deal because you don't get that straight away. And I wanted to make full use of that opportunity, and I loved every single bit of it.
That must be so much fun. That whole, the Saturday morning mashup. It just must be just a riot every single time you do it.
It was crazy. Such a mental show as well. Like if you watch it, like there's just so many like crazy things that are going on. But if I was to tell you how hard it is,
I can
imagine. Work
that level of energy.
Oh my God, like, when this lockdown thing happened, a part of me secretly was saying I just needed a break. I did need to just stop for a bit. I was working 6 days a week. Sunday was my only day off, and believe you me, I was just sleeping because waking up at 4 a.m. 5 days a week, and then 4 days a week, then going up to Manchester on a Friday. So I'm traveling up north now.
Wow.
On a Friday, rehearsing from 9 till 8 p.m. in the evening, learning 100-page script every week. It was bloody hard work.
Intense.
And then waking up on Saturday at 4 as well to rehearse, do your hair and makeup, and then do live TV. It's not even recorded, it's live TV. I was fully drained every time that show finished. But the best thing about the best thing about it is, when I watch it back, Sundays used to be my day. I'll put iPlayer on and I'll watch it back. That's when I'm sat there going, do you know what? It's so worth it, man.
Yeah.
As much as I complain and cry, I'm like, I'm actually on the flipping TV.
The thing is, you only feel that like when your alarm goes off at that moment, you're thinking, what the fuck am I doing? Right. But then as soon as you're up and you're in that mode and you're doing your script and you're rehearsing, you're kind of like, this is me. This is what I love to do. And like you said, you watch it back and you think, shit, man, it's paid off now. It's paid off.
That's when I realized. It's when honestly, it is when you watch it back. That's when you realize it's all worth it. Because I am a bit of a complainer. I complain a lot when I'm tired. I'm cranky in the morning. You don't want to be around me. I'm hungry. Like if I'm sleep deprived. I'm not the nicest person in the early hours. It takes a couple of hours for me to be a nice person. But
I feel for you
doing it on TV.
In the morning.
Yeah, man. Even I do. But like on TV, the hardest thing that I found about TV is, even if you're tired or you're having a bad day or someone pissed you off or whatever, you can't hide that, mate. You're on screen.
Yeah.
Radio, you ain't gonna know what I'm going through on radio every day. Like, so I'm happy about it. Like, days where I'm feeling like my worst, or you've got stuff going on in your own personal life. No one in the world is gonna know what's happening because no one can see you anyway. As long as you deliver it in your voice. Yeah. But TV, I think that was the biggest learn and struggle that I think I had to adapt to, because I was like, no matter what my expression is, you're gonna see it. So you got it. Almost being an actor, isn't it? You just got to learn to act a little bit as well.
Not one Pete, not two Pete. It's the 3P.
So Harpz, we asked you to pick 3 songs that you could play on repeat over and over again forever, whether it's in your car, whether it's you singing it in the shower, whether it's you on the commute to the Asia Network. What's your 3P track number 1?
It's so hard when people ask me this question. It would really be a top 100, but I've tried to narrow it down.
Just a bit.
Track number 1. Yeah, just a bit. You put me in a hard spot here. Right, track number 1, it would be Gurdasman's Jag Dilana, but I like the true school version to it. I remember listening to that maybe I can't remember how old I was, but it was the vibe. Like, it was that true school vibe that he put in it. I was like, this is sick. But not a lot of people. I was going to
ask you if it was the original, like, lost tape one or the true school one. 'Cause true school one's my favorite as well. It's so good.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Like, that's what really drew me into that song. But I remember, like, my friends around me and stuff used to think, because not all of them had my taste of music. They'd be like, this sounds well old, like it's so folk, like, because it is a proper desi folk tune. It is, It's good, that's man. Like, but I loved that stuff, and I was like, this is sick. And I used to play it on my MP3 player again and again. That's one song I can never get sick of, man. I just can't. It's a vibe.
It is a vibe.
Album. That whole album's a vibe. Like, album, it's just folk meets like new school style beats. It's so good.
Yeah,
it is. The true school flavor to that breathed new life in that track, didn't it? It just kind of brought it to a whole new generation, because it's a really folky kind of track, and then True School just kind of made it relevant again, and it's
that's solid. That's probably arguably one of the best three-peats that I've had on here. I actually forgot about that tune before you did, but okay, what's your
Can't
number
forget
two?
about an outro.
No, I'm not gonna forget about it now.
It's not even long. It's not even long, is it? Like the tune lasts like
it's not
2 minutes or something, or a
That's
minute
what you
and a
need.
half.
That's
It's
what
like
you need.
it's like, okay, you know, we're just
That is
gonna banger, done. No messing around.
Yeah, man.
Wicked. What's your number two, Harpz?
Two is I've got to go with a Dimardi of the Golden Star album. We'll keep saying what a tune.
Banger.
I
Absolutely.
don't know what it is about that song, but it's my dance floor anthem. So if I'm at a party or a wedding, no matter where I am, my friends, my family know the one track to get me going off that chair if need be is that song.
I have to say that song is timeless, and the reason why is that ragga vibe that's in the back. It just makes you want to move, man. It's so good. It's
again,
so good.
The production's sick. Like it just makes me want to dance. It's bringing out that dance in me. I just love it. It's what a tune, man. How can you get sick of a track like that? It's
You can't.
That song.
It came up on one of my old playlists, and I heard it probably after about 5 or 6 years, and I was like, "What a tune! What a tune!" And I just had it on repeat. I just kept playing it on repeat.
Yeah,
I think it's from the Forever Gold album, and it was Golden Star Days. But how old? It's like 1995, but it sounds so good now.
But this is what I mean. You know, you're saying like 1995. People will come to me and be like, "How do you know this track from '95? That you're 5 years old?" But the thing is, I might not have known it when I was 5 years old and probably discovered it a lot later in life. But
so true.
There's something about me that likes that sound. I really draw to that kind of vibe. It's what a tune.
It's a great tune, and you know, I kind of listened to it and saw the album cover of for the album that it's on, and I was like, wow, that is old. Like
that is old.
Some people needed Photoshop skills back then. It was
photocopied about 6 times, like that level of quality.
I remember like I got transported back to like the land before time, like with just old school tape and little printout in that Photoshop picture. What a great tune.
Brilliant number 2 there. Okay, Harpz, what's your third and final three-peat?
So my third was difficult, right? Because like I said, there's so many songs to pick from. I didn't know whether to go with the one that's a bit more fresh, like a bit more new, or still something more old school. So I'm going to tell you what my old school one would have been, but I'm not picking it in my top 3. Can I tell you that?
Okay, go on. We're bending the rules a bit, but go on.
We're bending the rules slightly. If I had to pick it and I had to stay old school, I would have gone for Mirza Part 2 Punjabi MC because it's up there.
I wish you never told me now.
But for top 3, just to switch it up a little bit, I do want to change it. So I'm gonna go with The Prophecy and the track Skin Najel. Now, Prophecy for me, I feel like I discovered him when not a lot of people really knew who he was. I used to listen to his YouTube stuff a lot, like, you know, he used to put himself out on there. And again, back going to like Fever days, I just listened to this guy on YouTube. But I really like my senti vibes, man. I really like my slow jams. And he is a phenomenal writer. I feel like when he writes, his lyrics are just, there's something about it.
This tune is completely left of field compared to the...
I mean, I've switched here.
Ginnajet is like, you're right, it's like senti, it's almost like ducky, like really slow. But it's a completely different vibe. But you know what? It's a music for every mood, right? Depends what mood you're in. You could be chilling, listening to this one over and over again.
And this is what I mean, like just going back to like, I love too many different sounds and genres that I can go from one extreme to the other. But I thought I'd switch it up with something a bit more fresh because like in the new sound kind of time, I really like his stuff, man. I've always loved a lot of his music, and that particular track, as ducky as it is, I can't listen to it on repeat. I'm not gonna lie.
So number 1 we had Gurdasman Jagdarena True School remix. Got to make that clear.
Yes.
And then second one, Malkit Singh Addi Marti, and number 3, The Prophecy Ginnajer.
And don't forget the one that didn't make it.
No, the one that didn't make it.
Put it on there as a bonus.
We're talking about it now. We can't ignore it like it wasn't there.
I think you know what? I think it needs to have a little bit of that that Mirza Part 2. And you know what? I was, is it Amiverk's Instagram today or yesterday? He did a cover of Mirza, and oh my God, what a song, what a cover, what an original from Punjabi MC. I'm kind of gutted it didn't make it. Kind of gutted, to be honest.
Oh, don't say that to me now. Come on.
This is the great 3+1 Pete.
Yeah, 3+1 Pete. That's what we're going to call it now. The 3+1
Please, can we do
Pete.
that as an exception? Thank you very much.
Absolutely. So this is Harpz's 3+1 Pete.
It has to be on there. Like, it's what a tune, man.
Harpz, you cut it. We didn't cut it. You're the one who said it didn't make it. Like,
take the
he's telling us, like, we took it off the list.
Well, I've got to put the blame on someone.
This is the part of the show where we ask, are you roots or rhymes?
We ask everybody the same thing, and it's completely up to you how you want to answer. But the question is, are you roots or rhymes?
The thing is, right, I feel like I've really, really strongly told everyone how much I love my roots. Especially with my 3. I have to say, I'm going to be that really annoying person. I know how annoying this is in interviews when somebody can't answer the bloody question. But I'm going to be that person, right? It's got to be a bit of both. It's got to be a bit of both. Because roots are your roots, man. And you can't get away from that old school vibe. I'm still all about that folk, desi sound. I love it. But I do have a lot of love and appreciation for a lot of the new stuff that's going on as well, man. I like this whole new West Coast vibe. I do actually like it.
Yeah.
I can't. A bit of both, please.
Okay. Just because you said please, right? Yeah. You can have a bit of both. No, that's wicked. You know what? To be fair, this is the kind of vibe that we've been getting from all the guests on the show up until now. And you know what? It's the basis of the podcast as well. It's showing how people like us, British Asians, have kind of grown up and we do understand our roots and we do have influences from the rhyme side of thing. And it's almost like brought us to where we are right now and the people that we are now. So completely take it, Harpz. Harpz's roots and rhymes.
Thanks, man. Thank you so much.
Last thing, Harpz. So let the people know what you've got going on. This is your opportunity to plug what's happening with you.
Okay, so obviously, if you've got nothing else better to do so early in the morning, you need to be listening to the Breakfast Show on the Asian Network. I start from 7 a.m. up until 10, so I can keep you company for a good 3 hours. Obviously, we're playing all the tunes, fun and games, join in here and there. A lot of you may know that I have been doing a Saturday morning kids TV show, which currently is on hold. So I would have loved to upload that right now, but watch this space. When things get a little bit easier and we're allowed to do something, then we're going to be back on it, man. So I will be back on that screen very, very soon. But for now, carry on supporting. Thank you very much for watching and listening. And thank you to every single one that's been there from the beginning of my journey, man, because without you, there's not really much of me. So thanks. And thanks, lads. It's been a pleasure.
Wicked. No, it's been great having you on the show, Harpz. Really appreciate it. It's been great conversation, reminiscing about the old days as well, and good luck with everything that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.